Mark Skinner was incredibly passionate after that defeat at the weekend about how they would react. Well, that point tonight for Manchester United, this all looks a little bit complicated, but essentially Arsenal were already in the driving seat, really, because they've got a couple of games in hand. But in terms of that top three now, you feel like this is Manchester United being edged out of those Champions League places?
Well, it's a bad result when you look at the games that they have, because you can see they've got City, Spurs, who've had a good run. That won't be an easy game away from home. And then they finish with Chelsea. And I think they've made it now increasingly difficult. I think Arsenal will be good, and I think City will win the league. So it's now between those two. And I think Chelsea as well, getting the result over Man United in the cup final at the weekend, that's just one of those ones that just gives them that little edge, which you can't afford to give Chelsea an edge over you, because they love that. So it's a really poor result tonight, because that was a difficult game midweek. But it was a big one for 3 points for them, and now it's going to be tough, but it's equally in their hands. If they win their remaining games, they'll finish top three.
Given that result for Liverpool over Leicester at the weekend, for West Ham to a vital point for them towards the bottom of the table, don't you just love the WSL at the moment? Because, again, like tonight, Brighton had those moments where you thought they could come back at Chelsea. They could have got that, send everyone up at the end. That could have been a moment too. Chelsea holding firm. How does this now propel them forward to those Champions League matches against Arsenal for Chelsea, given the result they had against Arsenal in the league and needing to really come back at them?
Well, tough games in Europe, of course, and the top teams are able to switch the mentality between, different competitions. The bread and butter being the WSL, but then going into Europe, a completely different dynamic attached to the game. But again, a tough opposition in Arsenal, who we all know are the European champions, who I think are slipping under the radar in terms of their performances at the moment. Big win for them at the weekend against a hungry side in London City Lionesses. So that was a big tick for them, and I think they're quietly going about their business very well. And I've always spoke so highly of the way that Arsenal play, their structures and how they're able to dominate opponents. They've had some big wins this season against, competitors in and around them. So yeah, that dynamic in Europe would be fascinating to see how that twists between Arsenal and Chelsea.
I know you've spoken already about the success of Chelsea still to come this season. One trophy won, still in those other competitions, and how well they're doing. We've spoken a lot about who they want to build on, who they can bring into. What's the focus, do you think, now for this Chelsea team? Will they still feel they can catch Manchester City?
I think there'll be a little bit of hope. They'll have a little bit of hope.
Are they right to hope?
I think you have to. I think naturally you do. And I think when you've been in sport a long time, a lot of those players have been, you just always have to believe. So I think they will believe. Champions League is the one that for that club has always been, everyone speaks about it. And for a lot of the players that have been there a long time, it's the one that they know they haven't managed to get.
Do you see them beating Arsenal over 2 games?
I think they can beat Arsenal over 2 games. I think Arsenal can beat them over 2 games. And Arsenal have in the league.
Will
they haven't beaten Arsenal in the league.
That's what I should have said.
I fear that Chelsea are in survival mode at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're a little bit, in terms of the games coming thick and fast. I mean, they're able to withstand the pressures, without a doubt. They've got the resources, the structure at the club to do so. But it just feels a little bit, there's a few things that Sonia's said about, sleep, recovery, and that's part and parcel of it. And I just feel like they have to retain that squad that's played today, and their bench, they have to keep them fit in order to be able to then go to London City Lionesses at the weekend and survive, win, to stay in the running. And then, of course, they hit those European games, which will be massive.